your reaction to the sentence?
Good morning. Well, it's a wonderful day for justice. It was decades in the making. Victims were complaining about Epstein and Maxwell all the way back to the 1990s. And finally, she was brought to trial. She was convicted of multiple felonies, and now she's spending the next 20 years behind bars. My clients never thought that they would see the day, but the day is here.
Of the so-called apology that Ghislaine Maxwell made in court, lots of the victims saying afterwards that it rang hollow, really.
Yes, I agree. So-called apology is a good way to put it. We call it the non-apology apology. And that's because it's missing the crucial element of an apology, which is acknowledging that you have done something wrong. She does not do that. She doesn't say that she made any mistakes. She doesn't apologize for what she did. She simply says she's sorry for the victim's pain. This is obviously written by her attorneys in an attempt to make her look empathetic, but I think it fell flat.
Why she talks about all this good that she's done in her life. What good has she done that we're not aware of?
Well, she's done charity work, like many wealthy people do, and I suppose that's a positive thing. But when you look at what the victims said at the hearing yesterday, oh, my goodness. I mean, they talked about being suicidal, wanting to throw themselves off of a cliff at Jeffrey Epstein's island, that they can't have any healthy, normal relationships, can't get married, can't have children, the depression, the post-traumatic stress. I mean, the pain that she caused because of her felonies will live on for many, many years with the many victims.
You've obviously been through many cases during your career. Why do you think so many people who get convicted and get sentenced fail to make a sincere apology, given the power that carries in terms of healing the situation, presumably for everyone, including the perpetrators? Why can't they ever truly make honest apologies?
It's a great question. Well, if you think about what it takes for someone to sexually abuse underage girls, in this case, as young as 14 years old, these are people who are very selfish, who are sociopathic, who are not going to then turn around and become a completely different person and say, oh, my gosh, I'm so sorry. I see now that I've been wronged. She is going to continue to fight. She's going to appeal. Her attorneys probably tell her not to admit anything because that would undermine the appeal. So I think there's the psychological reasons, and I think there's the legal reasons that we just rarely see a true apology.
Her prosecutors, the government prosecutors were pushing for 30 to 55 years. She received 20. Do you think that's a substantial enough sentence?
I do. I think it's a very substantial sentence. The sentencing guidelines were 15 to 19 years, so she got a little bit more than that. She, in turn, was asking for only 5 years, so she got quite a bit more than that. When you consider that she's 60 years old, she will be 80 by the time she gets out of prison. I think it's a very substantial sentence.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, what's the likelihood that she'll be able to serve some of that in prison or get released early? I mean, what sort of future does that look like for her?
So I think even if she behaves herself in prison and does well, the earliest she would get out would be in 15 to 17 years. So she's going to be in for a very long time, unless she gets reversed on appeal.
Lisa, is this the end of this saga? She's been sentenced to 20 years. Are there more people to be named, to be shamed, to be prosecuted?
That's always possible. We heard at her trial a lot of other names of other women who were recruiters, because remember, most of the girls and women who went to Epstein, they did because of Ghislaine and the female recruiters. If you're 16 years old and a middle-aged man comes up and says, I want you to come to my house to give me a massage, most girls and women are going to say no. But when a woman asks you and vouches for him, it's very different. So I would like to see some of the other recruiters brought to justice. But so far, I don't see any sign that that's going to happen.
It's interesting. One of the tabloids here in the UK, The Mirror's got Prince Andrew back on the front, linking him to all of this again. Of course, that huge settlement out of court, but no admission ever of any involvement from the Prince. And they're saying that the FBI will be targeting Prince Andrew in this next sort of look at who else could have been wrapped up in all of this. Is that your understanding?
Well, I don't have any information that the FBI is investigating Prince Andrew. In fact, I represented a witness who had some information about him. I spoke to the FBI on her behalf, and they didn't seem particularly interested. They didn't even want to speak to her directly. So perhaps that newspaper knows something that I don't know, but I would be surprised if charges were brought against Prince Andrew.
What about the victims that you represent, that you know of? How are they feeling about this? Are they at last feeling maybe a closure, maybe a sense of justice, maybe a sense that at last someone has listened to them?
Yes, it's a very powerful feeling. These are everyday women. They're not celebrities. They're not wealthy. They never in a million years thought that Ghislaine Maxwell, with all of her money, all of her connections to royalty and presidents and celebrities, that she would be brought to justice, that she would be brought down, that we would really see this day. It means a lot to them. And it really does enable them to get on with their lives, to close this chapter and to move forward.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.